Hi everyone, I'm so excited to be talking about this topic, generating habits that work for you. It's fabulous. I can't wait to share some of my secrets with you because I know they're going to make a difference. And so I started putting my hat on and saying, hey, what would I recommend to you? And I went, oh, I know, that's easy. Gratitude, because we all know that when we're in gratitude, we experience more fullness of life and actually more success. And then I went, oh, wait a minute, appreciation. Because we know from Jim Kouz's study that 98% of the people who responded to that study said, we work longer hours, more productively and happier when we're being acknowledged by our employer. And then I went, oh, wait, I know. It's taking breaks periodically. Because research shows us that if we take breaks, and it's necessary to take breaks every 90 minutes, we're going to be far more productive, we're going to be happier at work, more content, more satisfied. And actually, 86% of people who were tested said, you know, they're far more productive, they're happier on the job, everything is hunky-dory. And that makes sense because the human brain wasn't devised to focus exclusively on one item forever. We do better when we diverse our view of life periodically. So those 90-minute breaks are going to help you at every 90 minutes, please, not 90-minute break. And then I went, oh, wait a minute, I know. Smile. Something as simple as smiling. Because when we meet challenging times, the smile helps us through it. As we smile through life, we have more appreciation and gratitude and excitement about what's happening. And then I went, are those what I want to share? Come on, Nancy, dig deeper. What's going to support shattering, breakthrough change for people? And then I went, oh, I know what it is. I can't wait to share it with you. So let's move on. Your job, once you've identified your hopes and dreams, is to take on two powerful habits that will support you along the way. That is, should you choose to accept what may feel like a mission impossible assignment. And that is to translate these two powerful habits into your work and personal life. You see, without habits supporting your effort along the way to realize your amazing dreams of the future, everything leading up to it will feel rocky. Let's look at the first habit I believe is foundational to a shift in thinking, one that will magnify the results you create. I'm using an equation as a visual explanation because I think it's so much easier to discover the pathway of your future career and your life through this exercise. For our discussion, I'm working through the equation from a work perspective. By the way, you can easily translate this mental muscle you're learning into your personal life. So what does this equation stand for? It's only creating the biggest, boldest, most fantastic vision and actually seeing it come into fruition. So let's work through it. The small CA represents your career achievements, right where you are right now in your career. It is all your accomplishments and achievements, all that has gone into making you who you are and getting you to the level of success you hold today. It's small only because it includes what you've done up until now. It holds the important seeds you need to nurture for your future because, as you know, what got you here is not enough to get you to the next level of your career. You and you alone determine if these seeds come to fruition from your great big CP to come into being. What's CP? Well, it stands for your career potential. All your uniqueness, all your giftedness,
all your expertise, all your skills, and exceptional competencies ready for you to unleash, bringing everything into being. The letters are large because you have so much to offer your company. This CP is where your future erupts into the career and life you've dreamed about. No surprise, I'm sure. The U represents how you get in your own way. It is the you that limits and holds you small, even when you have all the skills in the world. Yes, there are plenty of barriers ready to hold you back, yet the only barrier that can truly stop you from experiencing all that you were intended to be, all that you've ever dreamed about for your career, is you. It is at this level that the essence of your beingness dwells. This is where you choose to stop standing in your way and start taking on what you need to do to control your future career. It's developing the tools and behaviors and skills necessary to reach the next level you envision for yourself. So proactively choosing to shift your minus to a plus will make all the difference, I promise. Unknowingly, getting in your own way is usually at the crux of careers that are underwhelming. Think back. Are you starting to see how you get in your own way? If so, how? What can you do to change it? Because you can have a career achievement under your belt. You can take steps to increase and expand your career potential. However, if you continually minus yourself out rather than being the powerful plus supporting your career every step of the way, you will limit your career future. This equation is so powerful, you may even choose not to share what you discover with anyone else. However, you have to dive in, because if you truly believe down where yourself lives that you are inadequate, it's next to impossible for you to build a substantial career on such a weak underpinning. And this big you and you getting in your way totally reminds me of Jordan Smith's song, Stand in the Light, where he sings, "The greatest risk we'll ever take by far is to stand in the light and be seen as we are." So stand in the light and be all you were created to be. Now, let's look at the second habit that handicaps us. It's buying into the world's point of view. You know what that is. It's the business world has you thinking processes and procedures and linear confirmable facts, and it's 1 + 1 = 2, and there's no exponential improvement out of that, and it's quarter-to-quarter profits are the measure of your ability, and if your boss is in your way, there's no hope of a future. And yet, human possibility shows us that laws and rules of nature don't limit us unless we allow it to happen. Possibility and intentionality often produces unexpected results. Utilizing your full potential is the true measure of success, and not letting you or anyone else get in your way. You may have also noticed on this page that there's a blue infinity sign at the top, and that's because we need to live in both sides of this picture. Unfortunately, for many of us, we put far more of our efforts and our belief in learning to lean into the left side, which more often than not has us never realizing the great potential we were created to attain. Whether you know it or not, your future is shaped by what you think about, what you consider important, what you study, what you discover, what you observe, what you try and experiment with, what you attach significance to, and what you judge as worthy. So without realizing it, we listen more vigilantly to the outside world rather than the voice of our creation and inspiration and possibility. We're all familiar with the business and the world view of potential. So now let's look at the other side, because this, in fact, is where great, fully realized lives emerge out of. Our brain has been designed to explore and stretch the boundaries of our reality. And along the way, it supports us in reaching our goals. No matter how impossible they may seem to other people, or how impossible they may seem to us in this moment in time. Let's look at some people who have stretched beyond the bounds of what the world said they were. Oprah was told she'd never make it on television. Or how about Steven Spielberg? His movies have only grossed more than $9 billion and brought him 3 Academy Awards. But he was rejected not once, but twice by the University of Southern California School of Cinematic Arts, as their way of saying, oops, I guess we were wrong about you. The school built a building to honor him. Or how about Steve Jobs, who was publicly fired by John Sculley, the man he'd hired, because Sculley felt Jobs was harming the company. Steve returned to Apple when it was on the brink of disaster and brought it back to one of the leading edge companies in the world. Years later, John Sculley called Steve Jobs, quote unquote, the greatest CEO. Or how about Walt Disney? I can't even imagine a childhood without the Disney experience. Can you? Well, it could easily have been if Walt had listened to his former newspaper editor who told him, quote unquote, he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. Or how about J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter? Her first book was rejected 9 to 12 times before it was pulled out of a reject pile by an administrative assistant who was mesmerized by the story. Or let's look at Elvis Presley. He was told, quote unquote, you ain't going nowhere, son. You ought to go back to driving a truck. After his first performance at the Grand Ole Opry, after which he was promptly fired. Or let's look at Michael Jordan. Did you know he was cut from his high school team? Either he was part of the greatest high school roster of all time, or his coach made a huge mistake. What would we have missed had he listened and believed his coach? Only 6 championships and 5 MVPs. Jordan arguably became the greatest basketball player of all time. And please, let us not forget Thomas Edison, who was told by his teacher he was, quote unquote, too stupid to learn anything. He went on to hold more than 1,000 patents. Actually, to this day, Edison has more patents listed under his name than any other inventor. Well, I could go on, but I think you've got the picture. What I'm suggesting isn't some minor service shift in being and responding. Rather, it's a profound, serious one. Viewing your career from this frame of reference has you tapping into your growth and potential. How are these 2 habits for expanding your thinking?
How do you feel about those 2? Have they started germinating some thinking in your brain? Because I really want them to. Now, as you move forward to achieve your goals or to go for that long distance run in your career or for your personal life or for what you're going after, I want you to say, whoa, am I getting in my own way? Truly dig deep and say, am I getting in my own way? And if you're finding that you are, stop, reset, and take one small step forward into your future that has you not being blocked by yourself, but that creates an opening for you to trust and believe and experience possibility as you move forward into your career and your life that would be fulfilling to you. And then I also want you to go, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Have I accidentally stuck myself back in that box of linear thinking where possibility doesn't exist? And if you have, I want you to leap outside of the box. And I want you to realize that possibility and potential are the only things that create your future bigger and better and more powerful and more fulfilling than living in the box. So, I'm hoping these two things have just shifted you right outside of any ruts that you've created in your life and have you moving forward. Because my intention is that we're celebrating already the rest of the year when you get to your greatness. In my mind, I'm celebrating the achievement already. And I'd like you to be joining me in that. I'm celebrating big time for you breaking through and shattering anything that's holding you small.